All right, we're going live in five, four, three, two.
Good evening, everyone. This is CLB coming to you live from my living room, home office, home. Come from my home to your home, and we are broadcasting live all over the world right now. First and foremost, we're broadcasting live through my partner, my my parent company, Listen Vision Studios in Washington, D.C., across from the prestigious Howard University. We're broadcasting live on Facebook at WLVS Radio. That is radio you can watch. And we're broadcasting to over 150 countries across the world. And I think it's so apropos, especially in the time that we're living in right now, to connect with each other globally. We're also broadcasting on YouTube at clblive.tv. That is where you can engage and participate in the conversation real time. I will encourage you to do so because we are discussing a topic tonight that I believe will touch everyone's heart, including mine. I need this tonight, and I'll share why in a moment. We're also broadcasting casually on Instagram Live. I'm going to show you all each other. Dun, dun, dun. So if you didn't know before, CLB is a complete and total techno geek. I'm a techno geek. I can't help myself. It's when this creativity flows, I want it to be broadcast like everywhere. So thank you all. Hi, Tammy. Hi, everyone over on Instagram. If you're over here on YouTube, please let us know. If you are watching on Facebook Live, please comment over there. I don't have my eye on that stream, but I will be sure to check it after the broadcast to make sure that I connect with you there. If you didn't know before, my name is Christine L. Bowen, also known as CLB, and I am your host tonight. I am the facilitator of this conversation, and I am the co-creator of CLB Live, which started about 6 years ago. And the purpose of this show is to inspire creative living and stimulate creative thinking. The whole foundation of having these conversations is to uphold and promote and advocate the three tenets of my life's philosophy. And that philosophy is create, live, be. It's all about living life at its creative best. And so the three tenets that we are going to touch on throughout these conversations that I'll be weaving together over the next however many weeks that stretch before us, each Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll touch on either consciousness, connection, and creativity. I believe these three things are the things that will save our souls and are saving our souls right now. Would you all agree? Hi, Shay. Thank you for joining us over on YouTube. And so tonight, we're going to discuss a topic, as I think I touched on it earlier. I don't know if it was before the broadcast, that I believe we all need right now. And the person I've brought on to join me, invited to join me, is a divine connection of mine that I will introduce shortly. The topic is the power of connection. And connection is something that I already have goosebumps. And if you don't have it yet, you might want to grab some of these tissues. I know I'm going to need them tonight. See, they're already coming. It's been a challenging day for me mentally. The whole movement of Create, Live, Be is to promote creative thinking. It's about mindset, and it's shifting from a fear mindset to a faith mindset, a faith-based mindset. And I believe it's directly tied to our creative thinking. And that's what connects us to the divine. And so connection is something that we crave right now. And that's why we're hosting these Instagram Lives. There's so many people that are streaming on Facebook, on Instagram, on Zoom, and any way that we can connect with each other without being physically together. And so the young lady that's with me tonight, her name is Isabel Hunt, and she is a speaker. She's an author, and she is a filmmaker. She's a coach. And she's just a beautiful divine soul. She's a wife, she's a mom, and she's one of my newfound friends for about 2 years now or so. And so what I'm going to do before I bring her onto the screen to join me is share the trailer for her documentary, The Power of Connection. And that will give you an idea of the work that she's doing. And it will provide the foundation for the conversation we're going to have tonight. And interestingly, Isabel started working on this project way before what we're experiencing. And it's just amazing how the divine works, because now more than ever, we need this documentary and we need her voice. So I'm about to tear up, so I'm going to play the documentary. PJ, that's my engineer over at Listen Vision at WLVS. I'm going to play that now, and I'll ask you to do the same, and then I'll introduce Isabel. Okay?
We live in a world where communication is instantaneous. Yet, if we look around, there's an epidemic of loneliness, anxiety, even suicide. We pass people every day, never knowing who they really are, and not knowing who cares to know us. The world grows increasingly divided. Instead of caring for each other, we've become afraid of each other. Afraid of being judged, yet afraid of being alone. We've created stories and narratives about people who are not like us and declare them as truth.
Who does she think she is?
Who is he?
Does she think she is better than me?
Should I worry for my safety?
Is she like all the other racist, white privileged, middle class know-it-alls?
I wonder if he has a record.
She's had all the advantages.
Is he part of a gang?
If she calls the cops, I'm screwed.
If I speak, will he threaten me? I can't.
What if there are more similarities between us than we thought? What if our differences made us more informed, more aware, more connected? What would it take to learn to trust? What are we giving up when we close each other out? Imagine a kinder, safer world. Imagine feeling understood. Imagine the possibilities if we could harness the power of connection.
So the power of connection. What are the possibilities if we could harness the power of connection? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Before I bring Isabel onto the screen, I would like to mention that this is a very casual conversation. Red Hook Lobster, hi. We're on Instagram too, and I'm just seeing so many people that I haven't connected with in a while. Hi Zoe, how are you? I would like to invest a moment with all of you, and I actually will bring Isabel on the screen with me for this. Isabel Hunt. Here you are, lovely, my lovely lady. How are you?
Really, really well tonight.
Very good. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for saying yes to your purpose. Thank you for playing full out. You have been inspiring me, especially while I was on my hiatus. Just thank you.
Now you're making me cry, and I cannot have tissues here.
Oh no! And you can't put your hands in your face.
No, that's right.
Would you like to get some tissues? Are you good?
No, then I have to take this down. No, I'm not moving.
You're not moving. Okay.
No.
What I'd like to do, Isabel, before we dive into our conversation tonight, is invest a moment. I have it written down. A moment for those who have passed because of COVID-19. A moment for those who were left behind. the loved ones of those who have passed. A moment for those who are on the front lines, our healthcare professionals, every day. A moment for our service workers, our delivery drivers, our grocery clerks, our mail carriers, all the service workers who are still allowing us to have light, water, all the basics that we need to live. A moment for our families, our community, and the world. Please, can we just take a moment to do that together? In our might, in this moment. Thank you. So tonight we're talking about the power of connection. Connection is one of the tenets of my life's philosophy, Create, Live, Be, along with consciousness and creativity. I decided to start with connection because I know that that is something that I certainly need to feel every day. My family and I are miles apart. In Florida, in New York, and in California. And even though we get to connect, I'm trying. Even though we connect every day by phone, video, as we all know, it's just not the same. And we're all feeling that to a certain degree. And so Isabel is here to have this conversation and facilitate this conversation with me, especially since I'm Waterworks tonight. So welcome, Isabel. Again, this is Isabel Hunt. If you're just joining us, you're watching CLB Live, and we're talking about the power of connection. Isabel is a speaker, author, coach, and a filmmaker of the documentary Power of Connection. So Isabel, let's open the floor. Let's open the floor about the power of connection. What led you to even begin focusing on this topic and creating this documentary?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for having me tonight. As you said, we have connected 2 years ago while I was writing a TEDx talk that never happened. It might change now, I don't know. It started when did it start? I think the beginning of September of last year, where I got a little frustrated about the state of being, like how things went with my business, but also how a lot of different people, especially entrepreneurs and speakers, represented how we are connected, and just talking about the emotional world. Everyone was jumping on the emotional intelligence bandwagon, and I just got really frustrated. So one night I just went to bed and I was just reading, and I was crying, and I was meditating, and suddenly I had this thought, like something just almost came to me, was like a voice talking to me and saying, you need to do something. You cannot wait on anyone else to give you permission to go big. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. A little later, my husband came to bed, and I told him, and he looks at me and he's like, you have all those speeches that you haven't used, but they all tie into each other. Why are you not making a documentary? And at that point, I was watching Kyle Cease's documentary about money. And I was like, well, if he can do it that simple, I can create something that simple too. And so I went to bed, and I was like, okay, who knows? Maybe something will come up. So, of course, a lot of things happen to me through dreams. I often being shown and told what is next for me in a dream. And in the morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I have the script. I know exactly what I want to do, and I know how this is all going to weave together. And I just mentioned it on Facebook. It just felt right. It's just like, hey, I have this really crazy idea about making a film, but I have no idea, or I've never done it before, no knowledge about it, and I can't pay anyone. I have no budget, so I don't know what to do with it, but I just wanted to throw it out there. And suddenly I turned around, and within 2 weeks I had a videographer who said, I'm with you. I love the message. I love our conversation. Let's do this. And then I was connected through someone else, and we were talking, and suddenly she says to me, you know, I do script writing. And I looked at him like, no way you are. And she's like, I love what you stand for. I love your message. I love this entire idea. I want to be part of that. So she and two others, one of my close friends, Kat Anderson, she is a media journalist, has been doing that for 15 years, and helps now with media, not media appearance. Darn it, why doesn't it go to my
It'll
head?
come back.
But she's also an entrepreneur. She's creating a really cool app right now. And so I had a couple of people who went through the script for me, because you get usually ripped up in the script and you just think it sounds good. And then other people are like, yeah, well, English isn't quite your first language. Let's not say it this way. It sounds a little weird. So I had 3 people writing and rewriting the script for me until it felt perfect. And then I had my cinematographer, and he's from Arizona, and he kept literally hunting me down. He was on my back for a while, and I was like, I can't afford him. I can't do that. He's been doing that professionally for a while. So I just kind of pushed him to the side. But he came back over and over. I was like, if you need help, let me know. If you need help. He's done documentaries before. And eventually he said to me, you just need to say yes, and I'm with you. Don't worry about how to pay anyone. We're with you on this. We know how important this message is. And so I got my cinematographer, my
Videographer. You almost got it.
Always got it. And my script writer within 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we started filming right before Thanksgiving. That's when we shot the trailer, because we knew only with the trailer can we get more interest, because I've never done it before. So people are like, yeah, who knows? She's probably not going to do this. And, you know. And then we started a trailer that a friend of mine, Darren, who is playing the other part in the trailer, he was all on board. He has a nonprofit here in Indianapolis, Proact Indy. And of course, he was all, I've known him for 6 years or longer, almost 8, I think. And he was all behind it. He's like, let's do this. And so we did. And then I was like, okay, I need to base this message on something more significant. And then we just went out there and we started a social study here at the community center. We had a couple people come to do a social study with us that was about soul gazing, soul connection. And we had them pair up different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different nationalities, different ages. We had he was then 5, my 5-year-old, and the 75-year-old pair up. It was really cute to see how that worked out. Yeah. It's going to be a big part of the documentary, because that one was the most amazing experience between the two of them. It was profound, and we're going to make that sure through some visualization to really bring that across, what happened in that moment. Wow. So we did that, and people really showed up, and the results were incredible, and it was just such a beautiful flow. And then we were, I think, a lot in pictures and visuals. Like for me, everything has to be abstract in some way. I just have to be able to picture it. And that was something that I was missing. If we talk about emotional awareness and self-awareness, we cannot just talk about it. Everyone talks about it and then say, you have to feel your emotions. You have to do this. And people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, It sounds great, very empowering, but I don't know what to do with that. And so I knew that my mission is to make this visual and tangible and understandable in a very creative way. And so I wanted to go from the story that I experienced when I first came to the US and was dating a Black guy, and there was a lot of prejudice and biases coming up for me that determined how I connected and how I chose to connect with him. That story was the inspiration, and then we're taking the entire story into the subconscious, and we're using a beautiful house. A beautiful house as a metaphor for the subconscious. It's an old Spanish home with dungeon doors, really beautiful. Oh my God. And that was a divine thing. I couldn't find a house, and I got so frustrated because it was cold, so we needed something that potentially still has electricity or it would be freezing. And I just said, okay, divine, spirit guides, whatever, just find me a house. I'm tired. I can't figure this out. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I posted it and I said, please stand with me in alignment that I will find this house by this weekend so that we can film next week, Thursday, because it was the only day that everyone had time that we would be able to do that. And within 2 hours, I got a call from someone. She said, hey, people tagged me. I think you would love my house. It's for sale. I live in California. Please use it if it works for you. And I was like, yeah, I'll see. I saw them pictures, didn't quite look like I was looking for. But in the pictures, I couldn't see the Spanish, the part of the house. Like it had like a big round house and then the small part with the dungeon doors. And when I got there just to see what it looks like, we were like, this is it.
That's
and
incredible.
So we were able to film the entire main part within the house. And there's going to be a lot of animation as well. I'm talking to my animator tomorrow. I found her through Purdue University.
Mm-hmm.
She's a grad student at Purdue, and she's like, I'm with you on that. I would love to do this project. So we're talking about details tomorrow. She's an incredible animator, 3D animation. So we're going to use a lot of animation, a lot of what's the word? Like a lot of various things that technology allows us to do to really make this documentary more tangible, more understandable. I think we're changing how we relate, not just to ourselves, but also to the deepest parts of ourselves.
Okay. Well, honey, I'm hearing more than I even knew because I've been following your journey. Folks,
Yeah.
This is the journey of this documentary creation, and you have like zero experience doing this, and just to watch you in motion, I mentioned this to you earlier, I think it's just so graceful the way that you are handling all of this. And when I say graceful, it's also lending itself to the divine. You're allowing the divine to just guide you in this process, and it's manifesting that way. The people that are stepping up and helping you with this project, the magnificent spaces and places that you're finding, I mean, it's just incredible what happens when we allow the divine to. We have some comments on Instagram. Oh, that's Dwina, my bestie. Lots of things fell into alignment for you.
Yes,
When you're
thank you
in your
so much.
purpose, things align like this. Congratulations. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for this work. And you are a sociologist, is that correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
can you define that for us tonight? What is a sociologist?
We are, well, I study sociology and psychology, so it kind of overlaps a little bit. But in most cases, we really take apart human behavior. And that's where sociology usually comes in. It's with empirical studies, statistics, and labels. And I love what I study, but at the same time, I got really frustrated because I felt the more we created boxes and labels and defined people and groups of people, the more we created division. When a lot of researchers created that to allow us to connect better, to understand each other better, what it actually created the opposite of it. And I always say I'm the sociologist who takes down all the labels because to me, it doesn't make sense. It just really it rips the oneness apart. It puts us into divisions. Like you belong here, and if you don't stay in there, then you're not normal. There's something wrong with you.
Oh my gosh.
And I
so
just
true.
couldn't accept that.
Yeah.
And so with the documentary, I took back my degree as a sociologist because for whatever reason, people take that more seriously. And really said, okay, we're doing from a sociological perspective, we're doing the social study, we're taking a look deeper in what is happening between two people and interview them as well about their experience, which was really incredible just to hear their answers and how it matched with what we already knew, what would happen from a spiritual perspective. And through my studies, I noticed that we have become so empirical in the way we relate to each other that we have forgotten the complete spiritual side of it, the spiritual of all of it. We even made psychology a science. Everything was just based on the science, that spirituality was not part of it anymore. And I noticed And I don't know where I got all those informations, but at one time I had this dream again, where I was told emotions are not scientific. And I'm like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? So I started studying, and I started studying history, especially with social, political, and religious environments. And I noticed how much, how significant and divine our emotions actually are, but how much we just created them as a tool. If you don't feel angry the same way I do, then there's something wrong with you. You need to be on medication. And if you're not on medication while you're going crazy, then we just have to take you to the hospital. If you don't feel sadness in this very moment and you start laughing, and I remember growing up when people were really emotional and very sad, I often didn't quite know how to respond to that, and I started laughing. And it wasn't normal. So I felt really bad, and I felt shamed and guilty for it. Like, I can't, like, they're really suffering, or there's really some pain going on. How dare I to laugh? But for me, it was more of a protection. But at the same time, I just experienced their emotional world on a different vibration than they did. So it just interpreted differently for me than what it did for them. And that's where the documentary is really taking a deeper look. What have we done with our emotional world so that it alters and really changes how we perceive ourselves?
This fascinates me to no end, which is one of my fascinations with you. Folks, if you didn't know, you know now. I have like a mad girl crush. Isabel is like my WCE woman crush every day. It's not just, of course, what you do, it's who you are. However, the subject matter, it just appeals to me so much, psychology especially. And you mentioned things like labeling. I like to consider myself label-less. The only label I choose is love. That's the only label I think matters. Before we move forward, I just want to acknowledge those who are watching. Thank you so much. We have some more YouTube viewers. Thank you so much for joining us live, because our collective energy is also a part of what makes this conversation not magical, miraculous. We can actually shift energy with our collective energy. Thank you for those of you tuned in on Instagram, as well as WLVS Radio all over the world, and Facebook Live. Technology at work, honey. We are connected every which way but loose. And you're watching CLB Live. I'm Christine L. Bowen, also known as CLB, and I am here with my guest, Isabel Hunt. And Isabel, we're going to pause right here. I wanted to use this, leverage this first part of our conversation for our audience to really connect with you and your message, why you're doing what you're doing, and the foundation of how you're doing what you're doing. You come to the table with so much knowledge and experience, not just academically, but also life experience. For those of you, you'll have a way to connect with Isabel at the end of the show. Her life story goes beyond what you're seeing right here. It goes all the way back to Germany. She's only been in this country for 10 years, and it's just amazing to see what you have accomplished in the time that you've been here. So what I'd like to do now is just pause. For those of you who are watching, if you need to, I don't know, fill up your cup with some more stuff, or if you just need to take a breather, what have you, invite some folks to join us. We're going to dive and pivot this conversation into how this work that Isabel is doing, which started way before what we're experiencing today with this pandemic, how this work, your work, Isabel, and how this conversation really applies to today, because a lot of the concerns that you have are reflective of my concerns as well as many, I'm sure. And so how are things shifting? I see things shifting right before our very eyes, the same things that you are concerned with as am I. And so we're going to talk about that momentarily in the second portion of our conversation. For those of you that can stick with us, please do. I'd love to have you participate as well in this conversation. If you're on YouTube Live, your comments will actually be a part of the replay. Your participation is appreciated and integral to those who are watching the replay as well, so we can see how you're feeling about all of this. So we're going to take a momentary break. I'd like to share two things with you. tonight. The sponsor of the show tonight is my sister station, WLVS Radio. So we're going to share a brief trailer for that. And then I'm also going to share one other thing with you that I'd like to encourage all to participate in if you so can. And then we'll return to our conversation, okay? So PJ, I'm going to share the WLVS. Well, how am I going to do that if I don't have it queued up? How am I going to do that? I thought I did. Let's see. Oh, I can add it. You gotta love live TV, right? I don't know how to do it. I did it so many times earlier. Is it there?
Is your help gone?
PJ, are you there?
Hello. I think he went to get some water like you told him to.
Okay, so.
Listen, bitches. DC's #1 recording studio.
Oh, I tell you, you gotta love technology. There you are, my love. Okay, so WLVS Radio, I'll do the plug myself since it's not working. Hey there, love. One love over on Instagram. You're watching CLB Live. That was just a brief trailer. It'll be clean in the replay when I edit this video. This is all casual. I'm a little rusty. It's been a minute since I've been doing these live streams. WLVS, I'm so passionate about my WLVS family, first and foremost because of my dear mentor, my media mentor, Jeremy Beaver. I don't know if you're watching. If you are a blessing in my life. Thank you for allowing me to use this platform to share not only my message, but the message of the guests that I bring to the table. I love WLVS simply because it broadcasts to so many countries. We can reach so many people with our message, and our efforts are amplified. If you're considering doing a live stream, especially with what's happening in today's world, if you're already doing a live stream and you feel like you can grow your base and touch more hearts, I encourage you to just holla at WLVS Radio, give them a call, see what the options are. You could even connect with me directly. I'm also part of that team, and I wanted to share that tonight with you, real time, why I use this platform, WLVS, for my broadcasts. Okay. The other thing I'd like to encourage everyone to do, I think I'll share it more towards the end, is also to think about the mental health, our mental health, and what we're dealing with today. A lot of us are suffering physically, yes. Every single one of us, to some degree, is dealing with our mental capacity and how we're handling what's happening today. One of the foundations that I support is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They have been putting out a lot of information on social media on how to mitigate the information that we're taking in, how we're consuming and digesting what's happening in our world, and tools and resources that we can use to help us keep our sanity, literally. And so I'd encourage you to connect with them. If you're on Facebook, it's AFSP National, and also on Instagram at AFSP National. Okay, and I'll share that website with you that they shared today for some tools for us to use in this pandemic. Okay, so that's my short break. Tonight we're talking about the power of connection with Isabel Hunt, who is one of my dear divine connections. She is also a speaker, coach, and author. She's also a filmmaker of The Power of Connection, which is the inspiration for tonight's conversation. During the first half of our conversation, she really broke down why she started this study which started way before what we're dealing with now. And I believe that that is not a coincidence, that she has been prepared and groomed for this time, and her message as well. And so she also shared the work that she does in terms of psychology, sociology, how we connect with each other, how we perceive each other based on societal conditioning, and how we can break down those barriers. And I believe that that is actually taking place today in a divinely natural kind of a way. It's history definitely repeats itself, in my opinion. I believe that nature course corrects every so often. And I don't know if there are any believers out there. I do believe in a higher power. I believe there's infinite intelligence that is making all of this work. That is, the sun is still rising. We still have air that we can breathe. We still have animals. We still have trees. We still have flowers. There's so much in our world that is calm right now amidst all of this chaos. And I believe it's something that we can learn from. And that's what I'd like to hone in on this part of the conversation, Isabel, is what's our perspective on connection? How is our understanding individually and collectively shifting with what's happening? And how is it facilitating our ability to connect even better?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my gifts is that whenever chaos breaks out or something happens around me, I become very, very calm. My mother-in-law always says that, like, every time something crazy happens where she would freak out, I just become completely calm. And so it happened even with this situation. And my husband and I were a little bit prophetic and very intuitive. And so we kind of knew that something would be coming in 2020. So we prepared ourselves. We didn't know what that would be, but we kind of prepared ourselves emotionally and what would come as well as physically. And so for us, it wasn't really a surprise in that way. And it helped me to really stay level-headed, but also stay connected to my heart without getting totally overwhelmed by the emotions that are showing up for many people. Mm-hmm. And many years ago, almost 25 years ago, I had a divine dream where I saw myself speaking on a stage in front of thousands of people in a different language. Back then it was weird for me because I hated English. I wasn't very good at it at all. And I was told, if you want to continue and finish your work, you have to go to the US. And I never understood what that really meant until probably today. When I first came to the US, I felt like I've been here before, maybe in another lifetime, who knows? But I knew I had to finish something that I had started before, something that I have watched. And for me, a lot of times it feels like I just watch a movie and I just tell you what is going to happen if we don't shift certain things. Mm-hmm. And so what we're seeing today from a very non-emotional, like not being wrapped into the fear, not being overwhelmed by what's happening, if you take a step back and really observe, what is happening is actually a blessing. And I know to many it doesn't feel like that because you have maybe lost a job or you lost someone dear to you. But it allows us to really take a different approach to how we live and how we experience the world. For me, when people die, they're not dead. Because we're all energy, and energy doesn't just disappear. The physical matter does. But the energy of it never disappears. We talk about that too in the documentary. And for me, when people die, it was interesting. I haven't seen my grandpa in 10 years, and he died last November. And I talked to my mom, and she heard from my sister. It's from my dad's side. She said that he was afraid to die. And so I just meditated and I tuned in with him. I asked God to connect me to his energy. And I said to him, Grandpa, death is not what you have been taught in church to be. Because there was this thought, did I do enough? Did I serve enough? Did I live what the Bible tells me so that I would go to heaven, or am I going to end up in hell? And I told him, I said, Grandpa, this life, it's not that. You have been told things that are not true in the divine realm but that controls you here within the physical, and it makes you be controllable and part of a system. And so I told him that it is okay. And in the morning, I did that at night at like 9 o'clock. And in the morning at like 6 o'clock, I got a message from my brother saying, "Hey, Grandpa just died." And I said, "I know." And they wouldn't have really believed me if I would have said, "Well, I just talked to him." But after I told him that it's going to be okay, he left. I could feel the peace, and he just left the physical realm.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that because I never felt disconnected, even though I hadn't physically seen him in 10 years. And I think what we're seeing today is a way of understanding, what do we have to let go of? What are we so attached to that if everything would disappear for us, we would just be so desperate that we probably would kill ourselves. And for many, it is a loved one. What if they die? What if something that used to be my security is gone, like a job? What if I lose my home? What if I can't have enough food? Those are all things of the world. From the biblical and the spiritual perspective, we talk about that we cannot be attached to what is off this world. Don't be off this world. Be in this world, but not of this world. Experience life to its fullest, but don't get attached to the worldly things. And the physical matter is worldly things. And just for me, shifting that perspective that even if a loved one dies, they're never gone. I may see them again in a different lifetime. And I'm sure that many people that I'm connected with today, I had connections with before. I really, truly believe that we go through different lifetimes to learn different lessons, until we truly can acknowledge the oneness with divine and with each other, and that we never just leave or never just gone.
Yeah, I think that there is a shift for a lot of us, especially those of us who may have a certain level of awareness and connection with our spiritual self.
Yes.
Well, our live video ended on Instagram. I guess they didn't like what we were talking about.
I don't know. It still says live on my end.
Really? It says mine has ended.
Yours says the lost connection, and it's trying to get it back.
Oh
internet.
my goodness.
Yeah, it's
you know
thanks
what?
for joining. No, it doesn't work.
I think Instagram Live has a 1 hour maximum.
Oh, it has been an hour since we logged in. Yeah, they had to. Thanks, PJ. Thank you.
He's now listening. See, he came back.
Yes, yes. Well, I did mention to them that if they got disconnected, they could join us over here on YouTube. So I believe that those of us who may have a certain level of spiritual awareness and understanding can process what's happening right now in a different way. I'm going to phrase it that way. There are many of us, though, that may not be at that stage. They may just be entering the beginnings of their spiritual journey in terms of growth and higher awareness and things like this. And I think that's where this conversation also can impact a lot of people, is helping these people understand. And I think what's happening right now is really helping everyone reassess what is important. What do we actually need to survive, right? Mm-hmm. Now we're looking at toilet paper as more valuable than the money in the bank, right? It's the truth. I mean, I
feel bad for the trees, to be honest.
I do too. Okay, thank you, Matt. Yeah, we do get an hour on Instagram. So from that perspective, I'm a social media consultant. For those, a lot of people may not be aware of what I do. They see my posts. I'm a very positive, spiritually based person. I like to share inspiration online. I'm similar to you, Isabel. I don't really push what I do. I more advocate the message and what I stand for, and hopefully I can touch hearts that way. However, on a professional side, I'm not a learned sociologist like you, but I do study sociology from my perspective, especially online. And in today's world, we pretty much are only dealing with each other online. And so how is
Yes.
connection shifting in the online space? And is it shifting? Are people being distracted, or are they actually seeing the value of the power of connection? What do you think about that?
I love this question.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Okay.
I want to talk about something that not very many people talk about because it's very inconvenient. What you see today is a lot of people who have been online, especially those who have lost their businesses or have lost their jobs, say, well, now is the time to create your online business that will save you. And I believe that this is just another distraction from the actual problem for most of us. Because the problem, what we see when we're online, we have this little box here, and we have so much information density in one place that it actually overwhelms our nervous system more than if we were to go out where we can just step away and say, okay, I'm going to go home now.
Yes.
Here, it's like, I'm so stuck in this world.
Yes.
And everyone is now throwing their offers, and everyone is now a professional and expert in something because they operate from a fear that I need to have money to survive because I don't know what's going to happen. And I lost most of my clients. Excuse me. I lost most of my clients as well. But at the same time, I can acknowledge that this allowed me more time to really work on the documentary without any interruption. And so what I see online is the actual purpose of what is happening is a shattering, a deconstruction of social, political, and religious systems, programming.
Yes, yes.
There is so much frequency-wise that is being pointed at us that is altering our own body's frequency, our bioelectromagnetic field, that we don't even realize how much we are being controlled. We think we have free will, but in reality, we're just zombies that feel like we have to fit in a specific way into this social construct so that we're accepted and that maybe the police will not come after us or, those kind of things. And so what we're doing now, we're seeing that the physical reality is crumbling. The way we have known life is crumbling. So in some way, we're trying to hold on to it as a collective. And like, okay, let's take this energy, let's take this system and just take it online. And the powers who are, and I know some people say that may be conspiracy, but let's face it, governments, even not just the US government, but governments in general, are created to control the people, the population. That's why we have such a gap between the really rich people and the poor people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that gap because the rich take advantage of the system.
Yes.
And what is happening now is that they probably rejoice. Yes, people, take it all online so that we can control you even better because there we can censor what you put out.
Yes, honey.
There we can control, we can delete your website if we want to because it doesn't fit in with the narrative.
We can track you.
We can track you. We can do anything with that. So really what we are doing is totally in alignment with the overall agenda of control, of a system, of programming. Yes. And that's why we have the problems that we have, why we feel so disconnected, because disconnected people feel powerless, and powerless people can be controlled. But if we really understand how we are connected and that we're never disconnected from each other nor from the divine, that we have that innate divine knowledge within ourselves and that God is only love and not a judge that comes to you and says, you just did that. And because you did that, you will not fit in here and you will not go to heaven. That is not unconditional love to me. That is a religious construct for emotional and psychological manipulation.
Ooh.
And so what we're taking now is, let's just take this system that we're so used to and that we have become to love because it somehow makes us feel safe, and take it online. So what will happen predictably is if we do everything now online because we can't leave the house anymore, we just create another system, and eventually that system will break even faster. Because let's say something happens and we have a complete blackout. Then you have nothing. You have no people around you. You have no internet. You have nothing.
That's
And
right.
that is something we need to look at. What if none of this were available to you? What would you do
have?
then? And only if we can get the answer to that can we really, truly break up the social, political, and religious programming that we bought voluntarily into because it's all we know, so that we can follow our divine purpose and understand oneness.
First of all, I'm going to teach you what I do with my bestie, and I've brought it to my show. High five. High five. Touch me. Because thank you. This is exactly, you were in complete alignment, which is why I asked you to be here tonight. We are in complete alignment on that. And I believe the point just came out for me of this entire conversation is one of my favorite. It's not even a quote, but it can be construed as that. It's actually a scripture, is be still and know that I am God. Yes, we want to feel connected. Yes, we have this vehicle and this tool to do so. However, it can quickly and very, very easily and insidiously become a distraction. And if we allow it to be that, we do not have connection. We think we're connected. However, we are not divinely connected. Investing time off of this, turn everything off, even if it's for 5 minutes, because a lot of people are like, well, I can't. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Take a walk outside. Leave your
Even
device
around your house,
behind.
that's all it takes.
Leave your device behind and just look at the birds, look at the trees. If you don't think you can be still, observe nature. God is talking to us right now. I believe that 100% God is talking to us right now and shaking up this earth, shaking up our awareness, waking us up to what is available to us at all times. We never have to feel alone. We are never alone, actually. And also, the best part of us, the best aspect of who we are, can never be found in this forum. It has to be found here first. And then when we connect, we emit that to others.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the current situation makes it also very clear how much we are addicted to a certain understanding of what success means, as well as to hustle and to always be busy. Because what most people do now, they just take the busyness that they had within the physical and take it online and are as busy as they have been before. And I think we will never experience a true shift within our world society, even if we don't now take a look at our ethical and moral values instead of just looking at how can we do things differently so that we can survive. Right. Everything, at one point, everything will be stripped away from us until we understand that none of that matters, because even in the scripture, it says we're always provided for. Yes. And people who cannot honor the individual and people and societies, countries do not honor earth and not honor the individual and humanity. The human soul, the collective soul will fall, and they will fall badly. And I think that's what we're seeing. We haven't fallen bad enough to really get the severity of what we find ourselves in. Yes. This is a whole construct. This is a man-made virus for whatever reason. And I don't want to get into conspiracy. People can do their own research, follow whatever you want and make your own opinion. But ask question. Don't just see, oh, everyone is getting sick, we're all dying. Oh my gosh, we need to somehow survive that. You will not survive that if this is the way you think. And I'm not just talking about a death through the virus. You will be not just quarantined, you will find yourself in a freedom prison. You feel free. I read a book where it talks about that, especially the United States is actually more of a communist, socialist tyranny controlled that feels so free because we accepted it. I
Exactly.
grew up under communism. I grew up under Soviet Union because I grew up in East Germany. And you know that you under communism, it wasn't really that bad, not for me because I was a child, because you knew what to expect. The way of tyranny.
I think Isabel got locked up there. Well, I know we're
I
at
don't
the
even understand.
Yeah, you just froze for one moment. However, this, how you and I get when we're behind the scenes. We could go
Yeah.
on and on about this, and we are, I believe,
Yes.
at the meat of really where I wanted to arrive at this with this conversation tonight. This conversation is by no means over. It's to be continued, whether it's just casually on Instagram Live. I'm extending an invitation to you, Isabel. It doesn't have to be tonight.
Yes.
It can be later this week. I think I would like to continue this conversation. It's such an important, critical aspect of what we need to get right now in this moment of time, in what we're experiencing right now. The shift is happening right now. We're witnessing it, we're living it, and if we so choose, we can actually ascend. I call it an ascension to that next higher level of beingness through this experience.
Yes.
And be the light that we are here to be, because we are all here to shine our light. And it's a time the trailer for this episode tonight is an invitation, and it's an open invitation that I actually borrowed those words from dear Isabel's invitation through thepowerofconnection.net, where it's an invitation for self-awareness, an invitation for curiosity. Don't just sit back, please, and wait for someone else to solve your issues. We have the solution right within us, always. Yeah. All we have to do is connect within. It starts within ourselves, people. And I'm so grateful for the connection I have with you, dear Isabel. I'm grateful for the connection I have with all of you who have connected tonight, whether we've been connected for a minute, 2 years, 20 years. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the soldiers who have had my back through this. I have my ups and my downs. We are certainly going to do that experience that, I should say, because we are human and we have moments, and that's why we have each other. And that's why I call my connections divine connections. People come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Treasure them. Each one is someone to help fulfill and carry us further in our purpose. And we are carried until we get it. And once you get it, you start shining that light and inspiring other people to do the same. So Isabel, we're going to wrap up this conversation. In the interest of time, I'll just share with everyone. You can connect with Isabel. I'll pull her name up on the screen so you have the proper spelling. It's Isabel Hunt, HUNDT.com. Also, thepowerofconnection.net. Please, 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 if you have felt some kind of spirit movement from hearing this woman speak, connect with her. You can also connect with her online on Instagram at Isabel Hunt, as well as Facebook. Isabel, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up? We have just a little bit of time, like a smidgen of time before PJ kicks us out.
I think the last words that I would like to say is for people to extend the invitation to really just take a look around you and not just take everything at face value. Ask questions, become curious, reevaluate how you think, what your stories are, why you feel a certain way. Ask the questions within yourself so that you understand more of who you are and what it means to be connected, to be one with all that is, and to embody unconditional divine love.
Amen to that. So everyone, if you would like to also share this conversation, share the replay with people that you in your life that feel they need to hear this message, please direct them to clblive.tv. The replay will be available there of this live stream. I will also be hosting later on this week, possibly next week, the director's cut watch party with the edited version. I'm a geek, so I like to do my geek stuff. So I'll host a watch party for that. And Isabel, you're invited to that too. Next week, folks, I have another guest. We'll be focused on consciousness next week. It's a gentleman that I connected with on Instagram that is an author of one of the most brilliant modern day books I have read, reminiscent of Napoleon Hill, Neville Goddard, along those lines. And so he will be joining me next week for a conversation about the new religion. So tune in next week, same time, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can connect with me if you so choose at christinelbowen.com, and I will gladly connect with you. Be well, stay safe, stay home, and please be still and know. Okay? Live creatively, everyone. Much love. One love to you all. Isabel, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, you're clear.